The market on planet Voltrix was loud and full of colors. Creatures from many worlds walked between stalls, shouting prices, selling rare items, and smelling strange alien food. In the middle of all this noise, a small alien girl moved quietly, her eyes scanning everything. She wore a torn cloth, too thin for the cold wind. Her skin was a soft violet blue, and her large eyes shimmered like glass. No one noticed her until the alarm rang. "Thief!" the trader shouted. Cahoeing red crystal was missing from his table. The crowd froze. All heads turned. The little alien girl was standing near the stall. In her small hands was the red crystal. Guards rushed in with stunned batons. The alien girl looked around, panicked, and tried to run, but a metal net fell on her. She cried out as the crowd began shouting, "She's a thief. Dirty little crawler. Punish her." That's when a voice said, "Wait." A tall human stepped forward. His name was Jace. He wore a leather jacket, dusty from travel, and had calm but sharp eyes. He didn't draw his weapon, didn't raise his voice. He simply walked toward the girl trapped in the net. One of the guards pushed him back. "Move along, human. She's caught red-handed." Jace ignored him. He knelt beside the girl. She looked at him with wide, tear-filled eyes. Her lips trembled. But she didn't speak, just held the crystal tightly. "Is that yours?" Jace asked softly. The girl said nothing. Her hands trembled. The trader stepped in. She was seen stealing it. Jace stood and turned to the trader. Was she seen taking it, or just found holding it? "What's the difference?" The trader barked. "A big one," Jace replied. "Sometimes people hold things they mean to return or run off with," the guard snapped. "Now step aside or we'll arrest you too." The girl whimpered as the stun baton sparked. Jace's eyes narrowed. Without a word, he stepped between the guards and the girl. The crowd gasped. Was this human mad? "Defending a thief. She's just a child," Jace said calmly. "I don't think she stole anything." "You gonna pay for her crimes?" the guard growled. "I'll take responsibility for her," Jace said. "Release her to me. That's against regulation." "Then find me later," he said. "But I'm not letting you hurt someone who hasn't even spoken a word." There was silence for a long moment. The commander of the guards, a silver-skinned woman with sharp tusks, approached. Looked Jace up and down. "Human," she said. "Slowly, you are far from home. Are you sure you want this alien to follow you?" "I'm sure," Jace replied. The commander sighed. "Very well, she is yours now. If she causes trouble again, your head rolls too." She waved her hand. The net deactivated. The alien girl didn't move. She stared at Jace like he was made of stars. "Come on," he said gently, offering a hand. "Let's get you out of here." Slowly, she took it. The crowd parted as Jace walked through the market with the small alien girl beside him. Some cursed him. Others shook their heads. But no one dared stop him. Back on his small ship, Jace gave her a blanket and warm food. She didn't touch either. She sat in the corner watching him silently. He tried talking to her. She didn't reply. After some time, she reached into her tunic and pulled out the red crystal. She held it out to him. "I didn't steal it," she whispered. Jay said, "Didn't take it." "Believe you." Kazo fell from her eyes. He sat beside her and smiled. "A little what's your name?" The girl hesitated. Sorry, Jace repeated, nodding. "Jace, you're safe now." Zari looked at him carefully, then slowly leaned her head against his shoulder. For the first time in what felt like forever, she felt warm. But Jace didn't see the tiny scar on her wrist glowing faintly, and he had no idea that by saving her, he had just stepped into the center of a dangerous mystery. The stars outside the ship blinked quietly as Jace flew through open space. Inside, the silence was heavy. The alien girl Zaria hadn't moved much since they left planet Voltrix. She sat near the engine room, curled up in the blanket he gave. Her eyes followed him like a shadow, but she barely spoke. Jace didn't push her. He knew fear when he saw it, not just fear of strangers, but the deep kind. The kind that lives inside and never lets go. He set a bowl of hot soup near her. It's real food this time, he joked. No freeze-dried blocks. Zari didn't laugh. She looked at the steam, then at him. I didn't take the crystal, she said softly. I believe you, Jace, replied Zari, stared at her hands. I was trying to return it. I found it dropped near the booth. I picked it up. That's when they shouted. Jace nodded. So you were in the wrong place at the wrong time? She didn't answer, but her body relaxed just a little. Later that night, Jace sat at the ship's control panel, checking fuel levels. The route was set toward the neutral planet Brasara, quiet, forest-covered world where fugitives often disappeared. He didn't plan to stay long. Just enough to get answers. Suddenly, the ship's warning light blinked. Incoming scan detected. What? The Jace leaned forward. A drone was following them. Someone had placed a tracker. He turned sharply and flew into a nearby asteroid field. The ship rattled, lights flickering. Zari rushed to the cockpit, eyes wide. What's happening? Someone's after us, he said. Someone who really wants you. She froze. Why? He asked. Zed? R opened her mouth, then closed it. Her hand went to her wrist. Slowly, she pulled back her sleeve. There was a strange mark on her skin, thin lines shaped like a spiral, glowing faintly. Jace leaned closer. What is that? My birthmark? She whispered. But it's not just that. Suddenly, the mark pulsed. Jace's ship beeped and flashed a warning. Encrypted data detected. Source: unknown signal. The ship system was reacting. 2. Her wrist. Jace stared at the screen. Is that some kind of data storage? Zari looked down. I don't know. All I know is my mother said to never show it, that bad people would come. And now they have, Jace muttered, by morning. They landed on a snowy moon for repairs. The ship's right stabilizer had burned out during the escape. Jace worked under the hull with cold fingers while Zari stayed inside, watching through the window. She didn't understand much about ships, but she watched him anyway. He was strange. To her, gentle but strong. Quiet but not angry. She had never met a human before, and yet she didn't feel afraid around him when he came inside. He was covered in grease and snow. She offered him a cloth. He smiled. Thanks. Zari hesitated, then said, Why did you help me back there? Jace looked at her seriously. Because no one else did. But I'm just a nobody, Jace shook his head. I've seen soldiers lie, kings steal, and orphans get blamed for things they didn't do. I don't trust titles. I trust eyes. Zari blinked. Eyes. He nodded. Your eyes weren't hiding guilt. They were hiding pain. Her hands clenched the blanket. Then suddenly she stood and walked to the ship's storage hatch. She opened it and reached under her clothes. Jace watched silently as she pulled out a small object wrapped in old cloth. It was a pendant metal, black, shaped like a half moon. When she pressed it, a hologram flickered to life. A woman's face appeared, older, graceful, with the same shimmering eyes as Zari. The voice said, If you are seeing this, it means I am gone. You carry the last mark of the Valinar bloodline. Protect it, hide it, trust no one. The hologram vanished. Jace was stunned. Valinar, he repeated. That's royal blood. From the Lost Empire. Zari nodded slowly. My family, was betrayed. I was hidden. I didn't even know who I really was. Until now. Jace leaned back, rubbing his face. So you're not just a girl accused of stealing. I'm the last daughter of a fallen house, Zari said quietly. And someone wants to make sure I stay silent. A long silence followed. Then Jace stood. Well, he said with a deep breath, I guess this means I'm not just helping a stranger. I'm protecting history. Zari's lips lifted into a small smile for the first time. And you're stuck with me now, she said shyly. He chuckled. Yeah, I figured. But outside the ship, far beyond the snow-covered crater, red eyes blinked through the dark. Someone had followed them, and they were not alone. Snowflakes fell silently over the frozen moon. Jace had just finished setting up motion sensors around the ship. Zari was inside, sleeping in the cargo hold, wrapped in blankets. The engines were off, the lights were low, and everything seemed calm. But calm didn't mean safe. Inside the ship, Zeri suddenly woke up. She felt watched. Her body shivered, not from cold, but from a strange sense of danger. She sat up and rubbed her wrist. The glowing mark on her skin had returned. It was brighter now. And pulsing, she stepped toward the cockpit and found Jace. Sitting there, going over old data files on the Valinar Empire, he noticed her and smiled. Couldn't sleep? She shook her head. It's glowing again. She held out her wrist. The spiral-shaped mark pulsed with slow light, almost like a heartbeat. Jace leaned in and carefully scanned it with his datapad. A new file appeared. Not just text this time, but a map. A hidden location marked in red, with coordinates that pointed deep into uncharted space. Jace's eyes widened. Zari, this is a memory lock. Whoever you are, your wrist is the key. Zari's voice trembled. Why would my family put a map inside my skin? Jace stood slowly, because they didn't trust anyone else. And maybe because they knew. Someone would come after you. Suddenly, an alarm went off. Motion detected. For life forms. Near the ridge, Jace rushed to the panel. Outside, heat signatures glowed red on the scanner. They found us. Zari looked terrified. Who? Hunters, Jace said. Paid trackers, probably hired to bring you back or worse. Zari backed away from the window. Her breathing got faster. I can't go back, she said. They'll kill me. They'll erase the Valinar name forever. You won't, Jace said, grabbing his pulse rifle. Stay low. Don't open the door. And if anything happens to me, fly the ship. What? Zari shook her head quickly. I'm not leaving you, Jace. Looked at her. Zari. I said no. Her voice cracked, but her eyes were steady. Jace gave a half smile. All right then. Let's not die today. Outside, the frozen wind howled. Jace stepped behind a snow-covered rock near the ship. He could see 3 tall figures approaching alien bounty hunters with long rifles covered in armor made from bone and steel. The 4th one stayed back, cloaked. The lead hunter stopped just 10 meters away. We want the girl. The hunter growled in a deep metallic voice. Give her up, human. Sorry, Jace called out. She's not for sale. The hunter raised his weapon. Then you die with her. Jace fired first. A sharp blue bolt lit the night. The hunter dodged and returned fire, narrowly missing. Jace's arm. Snow exploded all around as weapons lit up the field. Zari, peeking from the ship window, could barely breathe. One of the hunters snuck to the side, heading straight for the door. Zari saw him. Without thinking, she ran to the back of the ship and grabbed Jace's backup pistol. It was heavy, cold in her hands. The moment the door began to open, she pulled the trigger. The blast sent the hunter flying back into the snow. She stared at her shaking hands, shocked at what she'd done. Jace saw it all. Nice shot, he muttered as he took out another attacker. Finally, the 3 hunters were down. Only the cloaked figure remained. It stepped forward slowly, and as the wind blew its hood back, Zari's heart stopped. It was a woman. A tall, silver-eyed alien wearing royal armor from a lost age. Her face was cold, her voice colder. Zari Valinar, the woman said. You are not meant to exist. Zari stepped outside, gun shaking in her hand. Who are you? I am Lady Avon, the woman replied. Your mother's sister. The true heir to the Valinar bloodline. Jace narrowed his eyes. Then why are you hunting her? Because she carries the map, Avon said. The map leads to the vault of Eldara. What's in it? Jace asked. Avon smiled darkly. Power. Secrets. And the one thing the galaxy fears. Truth. She raised her hand and summoned a glowing blade of energy. Come with me, Zari, or I'll take you by force. But Jace stepped in front of her. No, he said. She's with me. Lady Avon charged. Jace blocked the first strike, barely holding against the power of her blade. They fought hard, weapons clashing, energy sparks flying in the cold night. Zari screamed, Stop! The mark on her wrist suddenly glowed like fire. Lady Avon stopped mid-strike and looked at the mark. "It's active," she whispered. Zari raised her hand, and a wave of light blasted outward. Avon was thrown back, her blade extinguished. She hit the snow hard and didn't rise. Jace ran to Zari, eyes wide. "What was that?" Zari looked at her wrist. "I don't know." They left the moon quickly after that. Jace set course for the map's coordinates. Zari sat beside him, eyes locked on the stars. Jace reached over and held her hand. "We're not just running anymore," he said. "We're going to finish this." Zari nodded slowly. Together. But deep in space, far from their ship, another figure opened a black communication screen. "She used the mark," the voice said coldly. "In Phase 2. The stars stretched across the void like silent watchers as Jace's ship drifted toward the unknown. Neither he nor Zari had spoken much since escaping the snowy moon. The battle with Lady Avon had shaken them both, but what haunted them more was the mark. Zari sat in the co-pilot seat, staring at her wrist. The mark had faded, but she could still feel something humming beneath her skin like a soft echo waiting to be called again. "Are you sure the coordinates lead to Eldera?" Jace finally asked. Zari nodded. "The vault was part of a story. My mother used to whisper. I thought it was just a myth, a place buried in space, holding the last secrets of the Valinar bloodline." "What kind of secrets?" Zari looked at him. "Ones that could start wars." They followed the map into a region of space no one traveled, nebula filled with dead stars and broken ships. The ship's sensors went dark as strange magnetic waves crashed over the hull. Jack gripped the controls. "This place is cursed." Zari stood and pointed. There, a hidden moon rotated slowly behind a black gas giant. No name, no record. As they approached, a structure appeared carved into the side of a rocky mountain. Huge doors of stone, taller than any starship, stood sealed with ancient alien runes. The Vault of Eldera. They landed beside a broken landing pad covered in dust. As they stepped out, the air was dry and still, almost like time itself had stopped here. Statues of winged creatures lined the path toward the vault. Their eyes followed them. Silently, Zari's wrist began to glow again. When she touched the vault's door, the runes lit up then melted away like dust. The door slowly creaked open. Hallway of light and shadow stretched ahead, lined with carvings that told the story of her people. Zari walked ahead, guided by instinct. Jace followed. His hand on his weapon, they reached a chamber in the center of the vault. It was empty except for a single glowing orb on a pedestal. Zara stepped forward. The orb floated toward her hands as if waiting. "Be careful, Jace," warned Zari, held the orband. Suddenly everything went white. She wasn't in the room anymore. She was standing in a memory, a palace made of crystal towers. Her mother's voice, her father laughing, guards running through the halls, then flames, screams, and Lady Avon's cold eyes. The scene twisted, turning to ashes. A voice echoed in her head. "If the child survives, she is the last hope," Zari gasped and dropped the orb. Jack caught her before she fell. "Zari, are you all right?" She nodded weakly. "I saw everything. The fall of my family, the betrayal, and something else." "What?" She looked at him, frightened. "The vault isn't just a library. It's a weapon." Before Jace could reply, the ground shook. A giant crack split the wall. Robotic drones with glowing red eyes burst through the ceiling. One by one, they landed around them. Behind them stepped Lady Avon, her face scarred, her eyes burning. "I warned you," she said, "but you had to dig up ghosts." Zari stood tall. "You tried to erase our name. Won't let you finish the job." Avon smirked. "I don't need to. The vault will destroy itself." "Along with you?" She lifted a small device. A countdown began on its screen. 60 seconds. Jace fired first. The blast knocked the device from her hand, but the drones attacked. Energy bolts filled the chamber. Zari used the orb to shield them, creating a bubble of light. "We have to get out." Jace shouted. "No," Zari said, eyes glowing. "I can stop this." She placed the orb back on the pedestal. The room changed. The carvings lit up. The mark on her wrist turned into a beam of energy, connecting her to the walls, the floor even. The stars above. A voice spoke again. Valinar blood accepted. What? Defense mode activated. A pulse of light shot out from the vault, destroying the drones instantly and sending Avin flying. The countdown device melted in her hand. She screamed and disappeared into the smoke. Outside, the vault began to close. Zari grabbed Jace's hand. We have to leave. Now. They ran back to the ship as the ground split behind them. The vault roared like a dying beast before sealing itself once more. They lifted off just in time as the surface collapsed behind them, back in space. Jace looked. Over at Zari, she sat in silence, holding the orb. It chose you, he said. Zara. I looked out the window, voice soft. And now I know why. She opened her hand. A new map appeared. A map showing multiple vaults across the galaxy. What is this? Jace asked. Zeta smiled. Tired, but stronger than ever. The beginning, far away in a dark system. Lady Avon opened her eyes, half her face burned, her voice shaking with rage. She thinks it's over, she whispered, but the war is just beginning. Space news spread like fire when something big happened, and this time something huge had shaken the stars. Vault of Eldara, open survivor of the Valinar bloodline confirmed. A girl with the ancient mark walks among us. Royalty or rebel. All screens across trade stations, pirate dens, and government outposts blinked with Zari's face. The once quiet, forgotten alien girl was now the most hunted person in the quadrant, and sitting quietly inside Jace's ship, she watched. It all in silence. Jace turned off the screen. They know, all of them. Zari didn't look away. Let them watch, they'll come for you. They already did, she whispered. He nodded. And they'll try harder next time. Zari stood up, stronger now. Her voice was calm. Let them. But even as she said it, someone else was already planning the next move, far across the stars. Deep inside a fortress hidden behind an asteroid belt, Lady Avon stood in a dark chamber. Her wounds were healing slowly, but her anger was not. Before her stood mercenaries, spies, even former nobles from the fallen Valinar Empire. He bowed to her, afraid but loyal. She has the orb, one said. She's gathered public sympathy, said another. She cannot be allowed to awaken the other vaults. Avon raised her hand. She won't. She pulled up a hologram Zari in Jace's ship location. Begin the trap. Back aboard Jace's ship, they received a message. A broken signal, voice begging for help. Please, anyone I carry. The second mark. I'm trapped on Vertanine. Zari's eyes widened. The second mark? Could there be another survivor? Jace was suspicious. Could be a trick. Zari looked at him. Or it could be hope. He hesitated, then sighed.
All right.
But we're going in quiet. They headed toward Vertanine, a storm-covered planet filled with foggy jungles, forgotten ruins, and creatures no one dared name. The signal led them to a crumbling temple in the middle of the jungle. Everything was too quiet as they stepped into the temple. Zari held the orb tightly. The mark on her wrist glowed faintly. Jace's weapon was ready in hand. They entered a dark chamber. No one was there. Just a voice, echoing. You came to Isali, niece. Lady Avon stepped from the shadows. Zari froze. This wasn't a call for help, Jace muttered. It was bait. Avon smiled, and you swallowed it whole. Suddenly, walls slammed shut behind them. Steel doors, magnetic locks. They were trapped at Zari. Raised the orb, but it didn't glow. No mark, no light, Avon said. Blocks your bloodline signal. You're powerless here. She stepped closer. You could have lived quietly, hidden, but no, you had to play savior, to be seen. Jace stepped between them. You'll have to go through me. Avon tilted her head. Gladly. She attacked fast. A red blade extended from her gauntlet, slashing at Jace. He blocked with his. Arm plates, sparks flying. Zari tried to find another way out, but the chamber was sealed. She looked up. Cracks in the ceiling. A weak point. Jace. Above you. Jace saw it. He aimed his weapon and fired. The blast shattered the ceiling, letting in bright light. The orb lit up instantly. Zari's wrist mark flared like fire. Avin backed away, shielding her eyes. No. Zari stepped forward, her voice like thunder. You don't deserve our name. She raised her hand, and the orb released a powerful shockwave. Pushing Avin back and breaking the chamber doors open, they ran. Through collapsing hallways, drones chased them from behind. The jungle roared with explosions as they burst out of the temple and jumped aboard the ship. Jack fired the engines. Zari sat beside him, catching her breath. We should have known it was a trap, she said. We did, Jace said, but we had to check. Zari nodded, then opened the orb again. This time a new vision appeared clearer than before. It showed 3 vaults left, each hidden in different corners of the galaxy, one deep underwater, one inside. A star's core. One. On Earth? Jace leaned in. That last one? That's my home. Zari looked at him, surprised. Jace nodded. Guess we're both part of this now. She smiled slightly. We always were. Far behind them, watching from a hidden ship, Lady Avin held another device. In her hand a small chip with a dark glow. She thinks she's winning, she said coldly. Let's see what happens when her human breaks. No one visits a dying star willingly. Even pirates avoid them. The radiation melts steel, the gravity crushes ships, and the heat burns through shields like paper. But that's exactly where the next vault was hidden deep, inside the core of a fading red giant known only as Drenzel. Zari stared at the swirling inferno outside the cockpit window. The second vault. It's inside that. Jace adjusted the stabilizers. That star could boil us in seconds. And yet the orb's map is clear. Of course it is, Jace muttered. Your ancestors loved playing with death. She looked at him and smiled. So do you. It didn't come alone this time. Zari had activated the orb again, unlocking ancient technology buried deep in their ship val. In our shielding that could resist a star's fury for just a short time, the ship plunged into the fire. Engines screamed. Hull plates glowed red, but the ship held together. Zari guided them toward a floating structure at the heart of the star, a black sphere, untouched by flames. It pulsed slowly, like it was alive. This is it, she whispered. The heart vault. Docked with the sphere, as they entered, gravity adjusted strangely. The inside felt cold, and naturally cold compared to the fire outside. Floating in the center of the room was a crystal pillar. No doors, no exits, no light except from the orb in Zari's hand. She stepped forward. It wants something. Looked at the orb. What? Then they heard it, a voice. Soft, sad, familiar. Why did you leave me? Zari spun around. The voice was her mother's. Suddenly, everything changed. They weren't in the vault anymore. They stood in a glowing field. Skies painted purple and Valinar banners flying high. Children ran across a palace garden. Her mother stood near the fountain. Smiling. Zar, I gasped. This is the past. Jace touched a nearby statue, a memory projection. Her mother turned, looking straight at her. But this wasn't a recording. You carry pain, daughter, the vision said. But the truth you seek will break you. Zari stepped forward. I need to know. I need to see everything. The sky turned black, the palace burned, and a secret was revealed. Zari stood frozen. What is it? Jace asked. She looked at him, heartbroken. My mother, she didn't just die. She chose to let the Empire fall. What? She had a weapon, Zari said slowly. A device that could have destroyed Avin's army. But she refused to use it. She said no crown was worth genocide. Jace was quiet. Zari continued.
Ow.
She erased herself from history. To protect the galaxy and left you behind? Jace asked. Zari nodded. She didn't want me to follow her path. The vault lit up again, and a new recording appeared, this time of her father. "If you are here, then you carry our burden," he said. "But know this, Zari. The Valinar line must never rule again." The memory faded. They were back in the vault. Zed sank to her knees. "My people weren't saviors," she whispered. "We were monsters who chose peace too late." Sat beside her. "What matters now is what you choose." She looked at him. "Do you still trust me?" He didn't answer right away. "Yes," he finally said. "But it's not just trust anymore." Zari blinked. "Then what is it?" He didn't say, just took her hand. But before they could leave, the vault shook violently. The flames outside turned blue. Something was wrong. Back on their ship, systems crashed. External hack detected. On the screen appeared Lady Avon's face. "Hello, niece," she said sweetly. "Having fun with your little fire trip?" Zari jumped to the controls. "How did she find us?" "I didn't need to," Avon replied. "You led me here. Every vault you open, I follow." Behind Avon appeared a bound human, bloodied, bruised, and very familiar. Jace's face drained of color. "Is that?" Avon smirked. "Your brother." Zari's eyes widened. "You have family?" "I thought he was dead," Jace whispered. Avon held a glowing chip over the man's head. "Home, dear Jace," she said coldly, "or I crush him." Jace clenched his fists. Zari grabbed his shoulder. "It's a trap, I know," he said, "but I'm not leaving him." Zari's eyes filled with worry. "If you go, I might lose you." "You won't," Jace promised. "But I can't ask you to follow me into this one." Zari stood, tall, voice steady. "Then don't ask." He turned to her in surprise. "I'll follow you into fire," she said, "and out of it." Their hands clasped tightly. Outside, the dying star raged around them, but inside, something else burned brighter: loyalty, truth, and something more than either dared name. A storm swirled above the fortress world of Keller, where shadows ruled and screams echoed through empty stone halls. It was a dead world burned long ago in one of the Valinar civil wars. Now it was reborn, not as a kingdom, but as a prison. At its black core sat Lady Avon, watching holograms of old Valinar battles. Her eyes were hollow, her voice low. "Let them come," she whispered. "Let the bloodline end where it began." And somewhere above her fortress, cutting through the sky like a knife, Jace and Zari's ship broke through orbit. Inside the cockpit, Jace stared down at the landing bay below. "She's expecting us." Zari stood beside him, her expression calm. "Let her expect. But she doesn't know what we've become." She placed the orb in the center console. It flared to life, revealing blueprints of the fortress. There's a power core in the lower levels. If we destroy it, the defenses go down. Jace nodded. "Then we rescue your legacy." "And my brother." Zari glanced at him. "You still want to save your family, even after what she's done?" He looked at her and smiled faintly. "I learned that from someone." They entered quietly. No alarms, no guards, just silence. 2. Easy, as they moved through the halls, statues watched them. Familiar faces carved in stone, former kings, queens, and one statue of Zari's mother, holding a child. Zari paused. She placed her hand on the statue's hand. "She never got to see me grow." Jace said nothing. He just waited. Then a voice rang through the hall. "I see you brought her home, lady." Avon stood above them on a high balcony, dressed in full royal armor. Her eyes glowing faintly red from the power chip fused to her skull. "And I see you still cling to your human," she said with a smirk. "So fragile, so loyal." Zari stepped forward. "Let my people go, Avon. Let him go." Avon held out her hand. Jace's brother was dragged into view by 2 cloaked guards, barely conscious, bleeding but alive. "Take another step, Avon," said, "and he dies." Zari held out the orb. "Then take this. Let them go." Avon paused. "What?" "You want the power, right?" Zari said. "The vaults, the secrets." "Take it," Avon laughed. "You'd give it up so easily, Zari?" looked her in the eye. "I'd give anything to stop you." Avon stepped forward, but Jace wasn't wasting time. He pressed the hidden trigger on his gauntlet and the guards' weapons exploded in their hands. His brother dropped to the floor. Jace leapt forward and grabbed him, pulling him into cover. Zer used the moment to unleash the orb. A wave of light shot out, disabling lights, weapons, systems. The fortress trembled. Avon screamed and charged, blades drawn. Zari met her in the middle. The final battle was chaos. Jack held off the guards with one arm while shielding his brother with the other. Explosions lit the corridors. Walls cracked. Old paintings burned, and in the centers, Ari and Avon clashed blade to blade. Power against power, legacy against legacy. "You could have ruled with me," Avon roared. "I was never meant to rule," Zari replied. "I was meant to end this." She flipped the orb into the air. It hovered, then sank into the floor. A glow erupted beneath their feet. The vault's core activated. The entire fortress shook. Alarms blared. The sky turned red. Zeta stepped back from Avon, who now struggled to stay on her feet. "Too much power," Avon whispered. "You can't control it either." Zari's eyes glowed. "I don't want to control it," she raised her hand. "Deactivate." And the vault obeyed. All power shut down. The fortress dimmed, and Avon collapsed, powerless later. As the sun rose over Keller for the first time in a century, Jace and Zari stood on the landing platform. His brother was safe. The people held captive by Avon had been freed. And the orb now rested in a sealed chamber where no one could touch it again. "You could rebuild," Jace said. "Restore the Valinar." Zari shook her head. "No, the galaxy doesn't need another empire. It needs peace." He turned to her. "What about you?" Zari looked at him. "I don't know who I am without the name Valinar." Jace took her hand. "Make a new name, and I'll be there when you do." She smiled, and for the first time since she was a child, Zari felt free, not royal, not hunted, just free. As they left the planet, flying into the unknown, Jace looked at her and grinned. "So, where to next?" Zari leaned back, eyes on the stars. "Anywhere, as long as we go together." And somewhere far, far away across space and time, new orb blinked to life in a hidden vault.